Is your turbocharged car making a loud, annoying hissing sound when you step on the gas? Or does it feel like the engine completely hesitates right when you need power? If you are seeing a check engine light and have pulled the code P006C, you are dealing with a Manifold Absolute Pressure versus Turbocharger Inlet Pressure Correlation issue. This code is specific to vehicles with forced induction systems, like turbos or superchargers, which are very common in cars from Volkswagen, Audi, Dodge, and Toyota. Here is the situation. Your engine has a MAP sensor measuring air density in the intake and another sensor located right in the inlet hose of your turbocharger. This second sensor watches the air pressure before it gets boosted. The main computer, the PCM, expects the data from these two sensors to match up within a specific programmed range. When the voltage signals drift too far apart, the computer gets confused about how much air is actually entering the engine, and it triggers the P006C code. The symptoms can be severe. You will likely feel a major reduction in engine performance, your fuel efficiency will plummet, and you might hear that suction noise I mentioned, which usually points to a leak. Common causes include a defective MAP sensor, a bad turbo inlet pressure sensor, or something as simple as a loose intake hose or a dirty air filter. Diagnosing this is straightforward if you're patient. First, pop the hood and check your air filter. If it's clogged, replace it. Next, look at all the heavy rubber hoses connected to your turbo and intercooler. These hoses often pop loose or have clamps that fail, especially if the car was recently serviced. A loose hose causes a vacuum leak that trips this code. If everything looks tight, you need a vacuum gauge and a digital multimeter. Test your engine vacuum first to rule out internal engine damage. If the vacuum is good, use your scanner to check the freeze frame data. Then clear the code and drive. If the light returns, use your multimeter to check the sensors. You're looking for a 5-volt reference signal and a solid ground at the sensor plugs with the key on. If those are present, test the signal wire with the engine running and compare the voltage to the pressure chart in your repair manual. If a sensor is reading flat or out of spec, it is faulty. Also, test the resistance of the sensors while they're unplugged. If the sensors and wiring are fine, but the code persists, you might have a rare computer failure or a need for a software update. However, 9 times out of 10, you'll find a bad sensor or a loose clamp is the culprit. If you have tightened every hose and replaced the sensors but the issue remains, then it's time to visit a professional, as further electrical diagnosis on the PCM requires specialized tools.